So yes, as Kristen said, I work with people who struggle with addictions or people who love someone who struggles with an addiction, which means maybe a parent, maybe a spouse, maybe a child. I do some of the traditional addictions like drugs and alcohol, but more so I work with process addictions or behavioral addictions, which would be pornography, sexual addiction, things like media addiction. Okay, so I'm going to talk about the addictive cycle today. Oh, louder. Thank you. Oh, okay. I'll try. Okay. Let's see, where am I? And then I'll talk louder. So I'm going to talk about the addictive cycle today and how it applies to behaviors. Can you hear? Okay. How it applies to behaviors and chemicals as we would think. Can you guys hear? Okay, I'll face this way. Okay. Okay. And also this book provides safeguards that can prevent these kinds of addictions. So first I want to help you guys understand, which a lot of you guys know a lot of this stuff. I don't know where you're all coming from, so I'm starting with square one. I want you to understand the gravity and the importance and the risks of this, of these kinds of addictions with devices, both devices and phones, so that we can be motivated to be consistent with the principles of this book. Okay, so today I'm going to talk about the cycle of addiction, some brain science, some solutions, which are partially in the book, and I want to hear from you guys as well, what to do instead. I want to encourage you that small changes can make a big difference, and I'll talk about some crossovers from my work and the book. And again, I'd love to hear from you guys. Some of you are further along. I have little ones, so some of you have the teens and tweens and older, and so I'd love to hear from you at different points. So we'll start with the normal reward system. A lot of you guys are familiar with dopamine. When you do something rewarding, gathering together, I know I felt a spike being around all of you guys. So you do something rewarding, eating, exercise, gathering together, your brain is going to release dopamine. You're going to have a sense of pleasure, and then you want to repeat that action, creating a feedback loop. And that's a good thing. We want to be encouraged. We need to eat and we need to socialize and things like that. But addiction, so both chemicals and behaviors, can hijack this reward system. In that case, an abnormally large amount of dopamine is released, so then you're overstimulated. Your system is not used to that amount of dopamine. And when this is repeated, your brain can adapt. So it adapts in a lot of ways. One is releasing less dopamine naturally. Also, the receptors can downregulate, allowing the dopamine to stay in your system longer, so you're more sensitive, so that you feel it longer. So some chemicals do that. And then natural rewards like food, social connection. Sorry, I'm yelling right at you. Do you want to move? I just realized this.
Like it was awkward to stare right at
But you can move. I just realized you're right here. I brushed my teeth before coming. So the receptors then downregulate, reducing their number or their sensitivity, so that then when you go back to something typical, like gathering with friends, they're going to be less sensitive, and you're going to not feel the same hit that you would before. So then the natural rewards are going to become weaker. You can develop tolerance, needing more of the substance or behavior. Dependence, so that your dopamine is so low without it that even just to feel normal, you have to have something to boost you up. And lastly, the prefrontal cortex weakens, the synapses weaken, making it harder for impulse control. So kind of to put that all together, addiction can rewire the reward system where dopamine is released in excessive amounts. The synapses adapt by downregulating in the number and the sensitivity. And then your brain is prioritizing the addiction and that stimulus above everything else. Okay. And it is noteworthy, and it's pretty well known in research, that kids, so I want to say early exposure, which applies to media as well. So early exposure creates a higher percentage of addiction. So kids who drink alcohol before, not one time, but continually drink alcohol before 15 years old have a much higher percentage of having trouble with alcohol, alcohol use disorder, or alcohol abuse later in life compared to their counterparts who aren't exposed to alcohol until 21. So we can apply a lot of the things that decisions, we are gravely mistaken. So think about car insurance with boys. You guys know, does anybody have 16 or up? What ages are car insurance? Is car insurance really expensive? 16 for sure.
I don't know when it goes down.
Yeah.
25, right?
Yeah, 25. Yeah, you can't even rent a car, right? Or you pay a lot. There's a few places you can rent a car. So it goes down a little bit after 18, but the biggest drop is after 25. Why is that? The car insurance companies know that the prefrontal cortex is not fully developed and people make poor decisions. So, it's normal development, right? The testosterone, aggression, they're showing off, they're revving their engine. That can be part of, the desire to do that can be a part of regular development. Just we don't want it with a car necessarily. But the desires to show off and jockey with the friend groups, that's typical. So yes, that is why the frontal lobe is not fully developed. So they can think, so what this means with the car example is that they can think, oh, this is fun to rev the engine or go fast and show off to people, but they don't think it all the way to the end to say, hey, this can cause accidents. This could kill someone. This could have a really costly ticket. They're not thinking of it all the way to the end, especially when they're in a group of guys. So this, again, decision making, judgment, emotional regulation, impulse control isn't there. Okay, so why do we expect them to put down the phone or the iPad before going to sleep? To get a good night of sleep, when these things have been designed persuasively by some of the smartest people in the industry or in the world to be addictive. And the ethical nature of all of this has not caught up. It has never been caught up. The ethics are just trailing the coattails if they're there at all. I thought of this as I was reading this, and then in the book, it talked about, it's not just anecdotal evidence. It's not just, we all can tell it's not good, it's addictive. No, this is meta research. This is Snapchat research that's out there, and they're not doing anything about it. And our kids are the ones who are suffering, which is so scary and so sad. Okay, how many of you guys wish you spent less time on your phone? Yeah, and we have fully developed prefrontal cortexes. Isn't that crazy? I'm the same. Okay, so what do I see in my clients? So the darkest side, I'm glad there's no kids here tonight. The darkest side of media addiction is pornography and searching and buying sex. So my clients, how did I get into this? I started out as a social worker working with children, but here I am today. My clients got hooked at 8, 10, 12 years old. 12 years old is the most common age where my clients say they felt addicted. Their words, not mine. They come with the word addiction. I don't put that word on anybody. Okay, the book says, the first exposure is now averaging 8 to 10 years old. First exposure to pornography. Okay, the book says 10 or 11, but all of my training has said 8 to 10. And get this, these kids aren't seeking pornography. They're not seeking to get a porn addiction, and they're not seeking even pornography at all. It's popping up. You guys have probably, I remember in 5th grade, I don't know what year that was, we got new computers in the classroom, and the teacher wrote on the chalkboard, because we didn't even know, like, what do we do with www. And they wrote whitehouse.gov. Anybody know where this is going? It's a room full of women. Okay, White House, someone typed in whitehouse.com, because that's what we hear, .com. That's a porn site. Well, Fisher Elementary School did not have the blocks yet. and it popped up. The porn site popped up in our 5th grade classroom. And that is not the first time I've heard that website. A peer of mine who does the same work that I do, the same kind of sex addiction therapy, that was his first exposure to pornography. And then he struggled with his addiction his whole life. A mistake. You wouldn't believe it.
Goods too is another one.
Oh,
It used to be, Dix. They used to not own Dix.
yeah, Dix.com was a male porn site.
Now safe.
Yes, it is now safe.
Insider knowledge, it's good now.
No, you guys, my husband works there, and I'm always like, I have got to stop Googling dicks.
Actually, he probably did us a favor that they bought up all.
Yes.
Can you imagine?
Yes. Yeah, but thankfully the shoes pop up. Oh, saved every time. So, okay. The pop-ups on the device. Okay. So think of the reward center, you guys. So back to these kids that are getting exposed. Can you hear better now back there? Okay. So what they're seeing is digitally enhanced, exaggerated, what we call a supernormal stimulus, meaning that no real life experience with a typical human is going to come close to the dopamine release that they get with these doctored up videos. And the high-speed internet porn really changed things. The tabbed browsing was a big deal. They can just surf the different tabs and maintain a high much longer than you would be able to do in real life. So this hijacks the reward center that should be, sexuality should be a natural reward at a time in life that is appropriate with the development of the child. But it's not. So I deal with this all the time, and the fallout from it when I see the spouses and the children and the people suffering from this. Well, this is only one side of devices. It's critical and crucial to be aware and have safeguards in place to protect your child's natural development and mental health and protect from these kinds of addictions. I also want to say this is not an other people problem at all. It's easy to be like, oh, that's, dirty, it's stigmatized, that's not, my kids wouldn't do that. But I want to emphasize that my clients are wonderful people. They're some of the smartest, most wonderful, most accomplished people that I've ever met in every occupation that you can think of. No one else knows about their problems sometimes. And this is not an other people problem. This is living and walking among us. And this is not other people's kids. This is we have to do this work. And just a note before we get into solutions is we do so many things to get our kids ahead. We do tutoring, we do ACT, SAT prep, we do special coaches, special lessons, and then we just stunt them completely, socially, intellectually, behaviorally, relationally, when we give free rein on devices. So what to do instead? So what rules and boundaries, this is where I want to hear from you guys. What rules and boundaries have worked for you, whether it's in the book or not? What rules and boundaries have you guys liked in your homes? No phones at the table? Good, yeah.
Screen time only on the weekend.
Great, yeah. Screen time only on the weekend. Yeah.
Screen time in public, like within the public part of the house.
Good, screen time in the public part of the house. Very good. Yeah, some of the clients I have that are like 30s plus, it's like, it was the desktop down in the basement, Not good. Yeah.
We started late to the game. I wish we always did this, is leaving your device at the door. Like, they know that we have like the phone bucket, like it's the only time they could say the word, but like they'll start leaving it at the door, but we should have started it from the beginning because, we carry our phones with us to room, but for us, that's also probably good behavior. Like, I wish we did that from day one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Phones in bedrooms.
Yes. Good. So not even just at night in bedrooms. Yeah. Yeah, that's great. Yeah. So it's public. Yeah. Good. Anything else before we go on from that one? Where did I go? Oh yeah. Okay. So I was going to read from the chapters really quick because probably not everyone has read it. I just want to say it really quick so that you guys can go away with a few tips. So rule number 1, you're in charge. So you set the boundaries, you know. Number 2, no electronic devices in the bedroom overnight. Number 3, no social media until 16 or later. Number 4, first phones should be basic phones. 5, give the first smartphone with a driver's license. 6, use parental controls. 7, create no phone zones. 8, give your kids real world freedom. 9, beware of the laptop, the gaming console, and tablet. 10, advocate for no phones during the school day, which you guys are doing. So there's some tips as well that you'll get in the book. She outlines it really well. Okay, next question for you guys. What activities do you like to do instead of devices that other people might benefit from, that you would like to share? So this could be like movie night, we pop popcorn, we make it really fun, or board games, or make it old school, get creative, or they have to figure it out. They have to get creative and think about their own things. That's good too. It's good to be bored. Yes?
I haven't done it yet, but I've been on Facebook Marketplace looking for furniture and that kind of thing, and I see a lot of old-fashioned typewriters. And so I'm going to get my kids a real typewriter. You know, because we don't print really anything on our computer. So if they give them a typewriter, maybe they'll start typing little stories.
Cute.
And make something on the typewriter.
I like that.
So
I like that.
my 10-year-old just got one as a gift, and it was expensive. It was like $200 on Amazon, but it works really well. She has it on her desk. Definitely has written some stuff, mainly because I think she's Wednesday Addams. Like she thinks she's Wednesday Addams doing it, but whatever, we'll just let that go. But it's cute, it's fun. I mean, I do think it's definitely just a fun thing to add into the house, just to decentralize, oh, here's a CD player versus only on Spotify. Here's a digital camera versus only taking pictures on a phone. Kind of just, I mean, the joke that you see is a lot of going back to 90s way of life. But it's a nice way just to delay or showing kids that things can happen that's not just on one device.
Yeah.
To go after that, I'm going to put a plug in for Analog Sunday. So there's another family in Chicago, Wiggly, sorry, forgot where I was at, who is starting to, create an Analog Sunday, kind of like Dry January, you stop drinking for January. Every Sunday is supposed to be just analog. Go to typewriters, go to CD players, just kind of go back to the basics. And so they're doing that every Sunday, and then probably once a month they're having in-group events. They've done a few at Sewickley Brewery, which kids just go out and play. My high schoolers were there, and they actually loved it. They're like, we helped the little kids make bracelets. It was just
Cute.
No one's on their phone, so they didn't feel like they had to be on their phone because no one was talking to them. So look out for that. There's another one.
Their
planned.
information's up here, so you can sign up for whatever.
Right here.
And I've told my kids a lot. I'll be like, it's Analog Sunday off the phone, and they're like, okay, fine. But they're starting to catch on to it. So I'm hoping
Yeah.
it sweeps across the nation.
That's great. Good. Did you guys hear about Analog Sunday? You can hear that? Okay. Good. Anybody else?
While we're waiting for our tin can, patiently waiting for it, I did just get a landline. We found a phone in a estate sale for $5. My kids, they're 8, 6, and 2, but they love memorizing our grandparents' numbers, and I let them call. I mean, my parents probably don't love this, but I let them call whenever, and when they get home from school, talk, and it just, they get excited about the autonomy of being able to connect with someone. Again, it's not through FaceTime, not grabbing that device, but just picking up a phone and having a conversation. They call their aunts, their uncles, and then they have
Awesome.
to deal with the fact that someone might not answer.
Yep.
And I think that's also really helpful as well. So
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to the tin can so I don't have to keep paying Verizon, but for the landline. But I do think it's such a simple technology that is safe and
Yeah. Everybody hear that? Landline. Got a landline?
Our landline is actually Wi-Fi too. We've had a landline forever because my mom would forget to bring her cell phone and she watched my young children and I was terrified something was going to happen. So I got a landline in my house and then we just never got rid of it because by the time my mom wasn't watching them anymore, I realized this was a great way for my kids to communicate with whoever it said.
Yeah.
Call grandparents, use learn how to punch in a number, hold it to your phone. I'm like, you can't hold it out here, you can't, you're not not gonna see anybody, you know, you have to listen to their voice and pay attention. It's a skill, and my husband has said many times, let's get rid of this stupid landline. And I'm like, no, we're having it forever because the kids need it.
Yeah. Awesome.
One note on the landline, so Palmyra Gerlach, once everybody's tin cans come, and if you already have a landline, she's offered to make like a Swiftly Unplugged white pages for all of us if you want to share. So that will be coming up. We're just waiting for these phones to arrive in Swiftly, so we're excited that she'll take on that little project.
I have to ask, does Time and Temp still exist? Do you guys remember? Yeah, Call the Weather.
Oh my God.
That was all the rage in 4th and 5th grade. We would call, if we all wore shorts, yeah. If we all wore shorts and it was cold, we were all like, Time and Temp lady! We were all upset about it.
You can dial a story in the library. So
Ah, dial a story. That's a good one. Dial a story at the library.
still active.
Okay, sorry, I digress.
Pre-pandemic, maybe?
Yeah. Okay, great ideas, everyone. I love it. Okay. So I wanted to encourage all of you that small changes make a big difference. Pick 1 or 2 things that you heard tonight, maybe the rules out of the book, and just implement 1, maybe 2, and just be consistent. And that's going to make a huge difference. So try not to be overwhelmed with the amount of information. And yes, the consistency is key. So I said all that. Okay. So then the crossover with the book and my clients. So I wrote the first few sections of this before even cracking the book about the addictive cycle, the frontal lobe, and what I see in my clients. I wrote all that before reading the book. Then I was able to see, okay, what is related here? So the frontal lobe is absolutely in the book. And to me, I wrote that because I thought everything else is a moot point. When you understand that their decision-making part of the brain isn't fully formed, then why are we even talking about anything else? We have to have guidelines, we have to have rules. It's just the way that it would have to be. So she very much agrees with that, and so that's a crossover with what I see. Yes, with my clients as well. I'm always talking about the frontal lobe. Okay, but they're good kids. So that's something that I said and I wrote in the earlier things. Don't just think, oh, they're good kids, they're not going to fall prey to this very addictive device that millions and millions of dollars have been pumped into it. I'm sure your kids are good kids. I'm sure they are. But these are highly addictive and continuing to pump money into the marketing and the intermittent reinforcement and all of those things. So another thing that was overlap with the book was being bored is good. It's okay to be bored, to let your kids be bored. That allows them to be creative. And she mentions that in the book. I wanted to add on this because one of the biggest things that I see with my clients is, being stimulated constantly isn't good. If you're like, okay, my podcast, okay, my video, my news app, my text app, and you're constantly just getting and giving information and you're not just sitting with yourself and observing and feeling nature, it's not good for you. It drowns out your instinct, your emotions, your feelings. Feelings are not facts, but they're very important signals that our body and our brain gives us, and we need to pay attention to that. So for example, if you're angry or you're anxious or you're lonely, a lot of people will just not even realize what feeling they're feeling. They're completely unaware. They'll start to scroll, they'll numb out. And what I'm saying that we want to do is notice the feeling, identify it, feel it, think what productive solution would we want to do. So I'm kind of feeling anxious. Maybe I should call a friend and talk this through because, maybe she can help. Or I'm, feeling angry. Let me go for a run. Actually identifying the feeling, doing something productive with it instead of just scrolling, mind numbing, not even knowing what feeling you had, not even knowing what feeling you have now. It's so many people do it in today's society. So yes, that is just awareness and moving through the process of feelings is really, really huge. One thing that I noted, I was kind of comparing and contrasting what I know with what the book said, and in our a little bit different fields but overlapping fields. One thing that's really, really big is that it didn't emphasize enough. Of course, friendships and playing outside, that is talked about. But emotional intimacy, I talk about a ton, because people with usually these kinds of addictions don't have real intimacy, real emotional intimacy, which is deep friendships, deep conversations, vulnerability, and transparency. 95% of my clients with porn addiction, sexual addiction, don't have a friend to call when they feel troubled, or even when they want to celebrate something. And so I call, community, deep friendships, not the surfacey ones, emotional intimacy, I call that addiction repellent. So these are other kinds of things that you can do to just safeguard, And guess what? All those things that I just listed happen without screens. And so let's see, quick points to kind of bring it all together. Big things, these kids cannot make their decisions on their own. If you didn't hear frontal lobe, you heard it a million times. We want to start somewhere, and we want to be consistent with just maybe one rule. And we want to have deep connections, deep community, deep relationships. Those are the big takeaways for today.